It begins with a mistake. Not a mistake made once by one enemy in one battle, but a pattern, again and again, from Greece to Gaul, from Britain to Judea, from the deserts of Syria to the forests of Germania. Rome's enemies looked at the soldiers approaching them and saw something familiar. Malicious farmers with spears, a city-state pretending to be a superpower. They saw men in organized lines and thought discipline alone could be broken with courage, with numbers, with heroic charges, with divine favor. They believed Rome could be shattered. They did not yet understand that the legion, slow, deliberate, relentless, was not simply an army. It was a system, and systems, once perfected, do not break easily. This is the story of the Roman legion, how it evolved. Oh, it fought, why it dominated, and why, eventually it too would face the limits of its own success. But first, it begins with underestimation, with enemies walking onto the battlefield, not knowing that they were about to teach Rome how to destroy them more efficiently. And Rome, always watching, always learning, would turn every defeat into instruction, until the legions became the most feared military force the ancient world had ever seen. Long before the legions marched like iron tides across continents, Rome was just another Italian city struggling to survive. Its early armies were not invincible. They were fragile, citizen militias borrowing Greek and Etruscan concepts of warfare. But hardship forged change. Rome lived surrounded by rivals, Etruscans to the north, Samnites in the hills, Greek colonies in the south, tribes that raided, allied, betrayed, and shifted constantly. War was not a rare crisis, it was seasonal. Expected young men were not merely allowed to fight, they were obligated. Service was identity, citizenship, duty. The early Roman mindset toward war was brutal and deeply pragmatic. Victory must be decisive. Peace comes only through dominance. If beaten, rebuild, return, fight again. Where other states collapsed after disaster, Rome responded with fury. It asked not, how did we lose? But instead, what must change so that this never happens again? And slowly, the Roman army reshaped itself into cohorts, instead of rigid Greek phalanxes, into flexible maniples that could bend, pivot, react. The legion became modular, broken into independent units that could maneuver on hills, forests, and broken terrain, where tight formations faltered. It learned to absorb shock, punish aggression, counterattack with precision. Equipment reflected this new doctrine. The gladius, short, stabbing sword, lethal in close combat. The scutum, curved shield, a wall and weapons simultaneously. Pila, heavy-throwing javelins, designed to break enemy formations moments before contact. Armor was standardized, helmets crafted for visibility and protection. Shoes were studded for marching across endless distance. Everything served purpose, and Rome believed something powerful. War was not bravery alone. War was discipline, structure, and endurance. The legionnaire was not a hero. He was a component, and that made him far more dangerous. Great armies are not born invincible. They become so through pain. Rome faced humiliation at the hands of Pyrrhus, of Epirus, a brilliant Greek general whose elephants smashed through Roman lines. The Romans bled terribly, but Pyrrhus noticed something unsettling. The Romans did not negotiate surrender. They did not collapse. They came back harder, more prepared, less afraid. Then came the great wars with Carthage. Hannibal, perhaps the greatest strategist in ancient history, crushed Roman armies repeatedly. At Trebia, at Cannae, where tens of thousands of Roman soldiers died in a single day, surrounded, suffocated, annihilated. Any other state would have shattered. Rome did not. It changed how it fought, abandoned head-on confrontation, shadowed Hannibal, cut supply lines, bled him indirectly. And meanwhile, it adapted its training, its organization, its command structures. It learned humility and turned humility into Over time, this made the legions terrifying, because every enemy that thought they had broken Rome only taught Rome how to kill them better next time. For centuries, Roman armies remained tied to property and class. To fight, you needed land, wealth, status. But as Rome expanded, its military needs grew. Campaigns lasted years. Frontiers stretched across continents. Citizen soldiers could not farm and fight forever. Then came Gaius Marius, a general who reshaped everything. He opened recruitment to the poor men who owned no land, turning soldiering into a career. Training intensified. Discipline hardened further. Loyalty shifted away from the Senate toward commanders. The legion became fully professional. Soldiers drilled constantly, built roads, constructed fortifications, lived for the march. They carried massive loads, tools, rations, weapons, earning the nickname Marius Mules. Rome had created something astonishing, an army that could move fast, build fast, fight constantly, maintain itself without collapsing under logistical strain. The machinery of war expanded beyond battlefield tactics. It included training camps, supply depots, fort networks, military roads stretching for thousands of miles. Rome didn't just fight wars, it engineered them. Movies often portray Roman soldiers as emotionless, but the truth is more complex. They were men from diverse provinces, speaking different accents, carrying personal fears and ambitions. Yet the culture hammered into them was uncompromising. Orders were not suggestions. Punishment for cowardice could be fatal. Entire units could be decimated. Literally, every 10th man executed to restore order. Harsh, yes. Effective, terrifyingly so. On the battlefield, when tribal warriors charged screaming, eager to break lines through shock and courage, Roman soldiers held shields tight, advanced slowly, refused chaos. It broke morale, because courage fades when it smashes into unshakable discipline. Rome learned that fear could be controlled not by eliminating it, but by subordinating it to order. And while enemies exhausted themselves in desperate, glorious surges, the legion waited 10 months, then killed. Deliberately. The real secret of Rome was not only what happened in the front rank, it was what happened far behind the battlefield. Roads were arteries, granaries were legions marched, knowing where to resupply, where to winter, where to fall back. Fortresses sprang up along borders, not random but strategic, forming an interconnected network. Messages traveled quickly, orders flowed, reinforcements knew where to go, how long it would take. Rome could move multiple armies across massive distances with coordination unmatched in antiquity. Where other empires depended on charismatic generals, Rome created structures that allowed any competent commander to operate effectively. War became administration, and when administration works, war becomes frighteningly efficient. The legions were tested repeatedly against the Gauls, ferocious, bold, terrifying in appearance. Their mistake, assuming that raw aggression could tear through Roman lines. It didn't. Against eastern kingdoms who relied on heavily armored cavalry and archers. Their mistake, assuming speed and range alone would dominate. Rome responded with counter-tactics, fortified camps, adapted formations. Bathrome wasn't invincible forever, because eventually an opponent appeared whose doctrine exposed legion weaknesses. The Parthians. Fast, elite horse archers, refusing fixed battle, striking from distance, vanishing before Roman swords could reach them. At Carrhae in 53 BC, the Roman legions built for close combat, relying on formation, were drawn into open desert and annihilated. It was a disaster. But again, Rome learned. Cavalry expanded, auxiliaries recruited, tactics evolved, defeats never lived alone. They became textbooks. As Rome conquered territory, the legions did far more than fight. They built cities, established colonies, integrated local populations, spread laws, culture, infrastructure. Soldiers settled after service, transforming conquered lands into Romanized landscapes. Highways tied the empire together. Trade surged. Provinces flourished. Too many regions. Rome meant stability, enforced by hardened soldiers stationed permanently. But expansion brought another problem: distance. Frontiers became almost impossible to defend simultaneously. Climate, geography, and endless borders strained manpower. Generals now commanded enormous loyalty and power, sometimes more loyalty than the state itself. Civil wars erupted. Roman legions began fighting Roman legions. And when discipline fought discipline, destruction multiplied. The legion system, once perfect for Mediterranean combat, struggled in new environments. Dense forests in Germania disrupted formations. Swamps swallowed roads, ambushes shattered predictability. At Teutoburg Forest, entire legions were destroyed in a catastrophic ambush. Rome recoiled shocked, not just by loss, but by humiliation. Barbarian warriors, underestimated, had applied cunning, terrain knowledge, and deception. Once again, Rome had miscalculated. Once again, Rome adapted. Fortified borders stronger, raised more troops, improved reconnaissance, became more cautious. But caution slows an empire. And time erodes systems. Recruitment grew difficult. Internal corruption weakened cohesion. Political chaos drained resources. By the later centuries, the legion was still formidable. But the world had changed. Enemies were no longer regional tribes. They were migrating peoples, entire populations on the move. And Rome was no longer innovating at the pace it once had. The machinery of war, roads, logistics, forts, still stood, but leadership often faltered, and even the greatest military system in history cannot save a state that rots from within. Behind all strategy lies something simple. Men carrying shields, sleeping in muddy trenches, marching in heat, building bridges through swollen rivers, digging ditches in frozen winter, bleeding thousands of miles from home. Many never saw their families again. Some died anonymous, some became legends, most simply disappeared into the long silence of history. Their labor, their suffering, built the empire. Their discipline sustained it. And ultimately, their exhaustion reflected its decline. The Roman legions conquered the ancient world not because they were stronger men, or braver, or chosen by destiny. They won because they mastered systems, training, logistics, organization, adaptation. They refused to collapse after defeat. They studied enemies. They relentlessly improved. Batalas, Kane, Tutobeg, Kare. History repeats the warning. Every system has limits. Overconfidence blinds. Rigidity cracks. Empire stretches politics. Corrodis. The Legion was not magic. It was human. And like all human creations, it rose, dominated, and eventually faced adversaries, circumstances, and internal decay that even iron discipline could not overcome. Yet its legacy endured in military manuals, in fort design, in road networks, in strategies still studied today. The Roman legion remains a symbol not simply of conquest, but of what happens when organization becomes power, and when power forgets that the world always changes. And as the dust of collapsed empires fades into the earth, the lesson remains. Victory belongs not to those who charge the hardest, but to those who build systems strong enough to endure and wise enough to adapt when the world changes around them.